Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Scott and this is Golden Era Age Guitars. The reason I'm not appearing on this video again, and the reason this is going out extremely late, in fact I think this is only going to be uploaded an hour or two before the 7 p.m. drop time, which is really not fair of me, but last week I promised I would make it up with a couple of bodies tonight, and that's not happening. There's only one body. The reason being, I've actually done a bit of an injury, and up until a few hours ago I was still kind of wincing in pain. So I'm still wincing a little bit, but I'm going to try and pretend like the pain's not I'm going to try and pretend that the pain's not there so we can get through this and talk about this body just briefly, and this will be a fairly short video, I think. So this is another one that I'm really happy with. It's the same as the last Sunburst Strat body. Again, this one is a UV faded 3-tone Sunburst. So what does that mean? Can't remember if I said in the last video or not, but basically that means that over time the red pigment has faded with daylight exposure, and you'll see this a lot on old Strats. You would see it on the custom colors as well, as the lacquer kind of, you know, it yellows and it discolors and it can go yellow or amber or brown. But this is pretty interesting because this actually involves the red pigment, the red dye. And what you can see here is we've got a fairly quite a thin band. This is kind of more prominent of mid 60s to early 70s sort of vibe, where in the, you know, you would see them with this quite a thin red part of the burst, and sometimes they were shot like that, yes, absolutely. Sometimes the burst actually maybe came in to about here, and this is all just faded, so all that overspray that would have been making up that subtle part of the burst has actually faded back. Now the really cool thing about this is, and I think you can kind of just about see it on the video, but I might grab a piece of white paper just to have in the shot, just to help the light a little bit. What you'll probably see here compared to up around here where the forearm is, this has gone quite brown. This is a big characteristic of red dyes, aniline dyes. They fade and they discolor. So all those lovely late 50s style sunbursts that you see that are really browned, they would have started as red. So they would have started this color and then they've ended up this color. The really special thing about this piece is, for me, and just showing that they're all individual and they're all just that little bit different and really special, this one has done something that you can't control this, unless you actually just use tint to do it, so dye, and I still will be using tints to do the red, which means it won't obviously fade at all, or it might not fade quickly enough. But this one here, I mean, because it's gone from red right round to this brown section here, I have no control over that whatsoever. That's just what it's done, and that's what really makes this sort of thing epic for me. As sad as it sounds, this is the stuff that gets me up in the morning. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all this off now. The cool thing with this one as well is scratch plate, pickup covers, the knobs are included, and the switch tips as well. The jack socket and the bridge are not included, but you'll get the plastics with this one. So we're going to go ahead and take all this stuff off, and you'll be able to see a little bit more. I'm going to hold it up to the camera. You can see here as well, we've got a nice proper tan line. This is as authentic as you're going to get for tan lines. That is not fake, that is an actual UV faded tan line. And you can see it again here. You can see the red around here. So that red, as you can see, the overspray did come in quite a bit. Came in to there, it would have come round. I think I had this one all the way around here, and you can see here. So that's quite normal. It would have come out and round to here, and this is all basically faded back, so all of that's gone through natural aging, and you can see up here as well. It's all these little details, isn't it? Just really, it's exciting, you know. It's really cool to see, and you know, to go from a plain body, reshaping it, adding all the little details in, and then getting it to this point where it's on this bench and you guys can actually see these differences. It's absolutely fantastic. So onto the scales we go, and we are sitting at 4 pounds 5.5 ounces, which is 1.972 kilograms. So switch that off, bring this back over now. While I've got it in my hands, what you'll actually be able to see here, you can see that red from the shadow, the silhouette of where the tan lines from where the hardware was, bright red compared to the brown that surrounds it. So when you're coming around, you can see it start to go to red. Should also mention the checking is absolutely phenomenal on this one. It's so cool. This is such a cool piece. The inspiration from this one actually came from a friend's guitar, which he purchased fairly recently. This would be a shout out to Chris at Cathara Guitars. He bought an early 70s Strat, and it's got this kind of not exactly, but it's got this kind of sunburst, this kind of discoloration going on. It's more, I think it's from memory, I've got photos, but from memory it's more of this kind of browny tint that's been left behind. It's not aged the same, but the general vibe was just, that was kind of the inspiration for it. If anybody hasn't already, do yourselves a favor, go and check out Chris at Cathara Guitars. I'm going to leave links in the description. Chris builds the most fantastic guitars I have seen, apart from what I'm putting together here, because obviously I'm biased and all that kind of stuff. But I've been doing stuff for Chris for a while now, and his builds are absolutely fantastic. They're just absolutely fantastic. The cool thing about what he does is, which we've spoken about quite a lot, he's not trying to really mimic or copy anything the same way that I suppose I am with, you know, these bodies and the necks and whatnot. So some of his stuff that he's done in the past, the combinations, color combinations, the bodies, the headstocks with the flash, the tort flashing on the headstock, absolutely killer. Go and have a look at them. There should be a few bits and pieces coming up that I'm actually doing for him that I might be able to put in a video, which would be really cool. But absolutely killer guitars, and they're all built from scratch, blocks of wood. Super impressive. I'm envious of anybody who can do that. Chris is just absolutely brilliant at it. So but that's kind of where the inspiration came from for this guitar, was Chris's own vintage Fender that he picked up recently, and I think he did a refret on it, and there's a few, it's like a player's grade. It's been used, it's been loved, and that's kind of, you know, where we've talked about having this kind of relationship with your guitar, that, you know, there are people who will keep them as museum pieces and play them and enjoy them. That's the benefits of, you know, modern lacquer finishes and stuff. You can play a guitar to death and it'll still look brand new. Look at PRS, super thin finishes, beautiful guitars, and I've never seen one with big wear patches or big deep scratches or anything silly. They're just really durable and well looked after instruments. But obviously, going back to this particular era, you will get checking, you will get scratches, you will get dings. The lacquer is not hard. Well, it's as hard as it's going to get, and it's crispy, and it's, you know, it wants to fall off in places, and it wants to crack. Maybe it doesn't want to crack, but it does anyway. So again, super deep contours. I have to admit, I can't play I can't really play a guitar anymore that doesn't have, or a Strat should I say, or anything with contours. I can't really play anything unless I've taken this way down. Just a really, really nice, super slim vibe going on. But again, this goes back to these guitars that, you know, they've been played, they've been used, they've been loved, but they're not, you know, there's plenty of paint left on them. And I think that's the difference again between, you know, the Relic thing versus the aging thing. You know, I'm much more into the, it's kind of like that furniture world type thing, vintage restoration of furniture. You know, it's really distressing and antiquing and aging that I'm trying to do on these, rather than, you know, the easy option and the sloppy option for me would be to go in and take a big wear patch off here, and then we'll just take a big wear patch off here and stuff, and that just doesn't, to me it doesn't look good, doesn't interest me at all, doesn't tell a story, doesn't tell anything. For me, this particular one, the whole kind of time I was going along doing it, I thought, well, let's make it one again that has been used, but the difference being that I started looking at guitars that have, they're pretty, you know, they're kind of like this, they've got marks on them and stuff, but there's no other paint missing, from them. And you always see this, not always, sorry, you sometimes see these wear patches here, or you'll see like a large section here or a bit missing here, but the rest of the guitar is pretty clean compared to this big wear patch. And I guess it goes back to, you know, people who wear suit jackets or jackets in general, or jewelry, or that, just how they play the guitar, and their arms are rubbing one section which they can't do anything about, but the rest of the guitar is pretty clean. So it kind of gives you this idea that this is somebody who actually likes this guitar, who wants to take care of it, but they can't really do anything about their arm rubbing on this. So that's where it wears, and that's the story the guitar tells. This is one heavily UV faded guitar. Just to back that up, I should have said when I turned it over, if you check out the burst on the front and then check out the burst on the back. So this is how the front started. And you can see that, I mean, there's stories of guitars being left in, you know, music shop windows for a couple of weeks, and they end up like this, because who knew that the dye, who knew back in the 60s that the dye would fade that quickly if you put them in the shop window. So that's kind of, I guess that's just really the vibe. So it could have been used for outdoor gigs, could have been used for, it could have been somewhere sunny for all of its life, and it's just, or it's been left in a sunroom or something, and it's just faded. So these are the details for me that just, I absolutely love them. I just don't think, I don't think I'd want to be doing anything else with these bursts going forward. But at the same time, these are a lot more laborious. They take a lot more time and effort, and unfortunately a little bit more money to do these at my end. I will still be doing sunbursts that don't use the dye, and they'll be the old price. Not the old price, but they'll be the price that maybe a lot of you were used to seeing. This is going to be my preferred way going forward with all future stuff. So keep an eye out. There's going to be a lot more of these coming through. Not just Strats. There's going to be a lot more shapes available as I kind of work my way through everything again, just having a bit of fun. So again, all the plastics are included. Nothing drastically aged apart from the scratch plate. Pickup covers, lightly aged, I would say. Nothing, again, too drastic. It's very easy to go overboard with the plastics. You know, I see a lot of these things where people say, you know, leave them in coffee for 2 weeks, and I wouldn't want to waste the coffee, to be honest, but everybody has their own way of doing these things. So and I like, again, I like that contrasty thing that you get where you see, because of the materials that were used, the different materials that Fender would have used back in the day, these things don't all age the same. And that's something that I've always found really curious and wonderful, that scratch plates don't they don't age the same at the same rate as the knobs do. Sometimes the knobs deteriorate and the plastic or the pickup covers don't, because they're made from two different materials or plastics. It's just fascinating when you see these things, and it just, when you start to kind of mismatch things, to me it just kind of adds to that whole, yeah, that's a realistic vibe. That's what we're doing this for. That is the goal, to make this look natural, not forced. As somebody who I like a lot said to me quite a while ago, not make it look pantomime. So you really have to you have to be that little bit closer just to go, is that real or is that, dare I say, fake? And that's what I want to achieve with all of these. But this one in particular, super happy with it. I hope you can see. I'm going to lift this off again just to be annoying, because I want to hold it up to the camera. I don't think I actually showed enough. Don't think I showed enough of the checking on this, but you can see it's just got that really nice, there's lots of tight checking going on with this. I love this thing. It's so cool. It's absolutely so cool. There you go, lots of tight checking again. So there you go. Body 0407. Fairly getting up the numbers. It doesn't seem like that long ago I started with the very first one, and now we're up on, well, that's not body 407, which somebody asked me a couple of weeks ago and I forgot to answer them. The body numbers are not the actual body numbers, they're order numbers for me. So I'm on order 0407 of Golden Era, of what you guys have had access to, because some of the other stuff I do goes under a different number scheme. But yeah, it's pretty wild to be up around the 400 mark on the orders. So here's to the next 400, guys, and at that I'll love you and leave you until next one. I'm gonna go and take another painkiller and this will be available on the 10th of May, which is tonight, 7 p.m. UK time. Good luck if you're going for it, and I'll catch up with you next week.